Guys, here it is, Wednesday, the day before Christmas, and as you guys know, if you watched my 22 crap the bed, you know that I am without 22. So without 22, it's going to be hard to give classes. Well, 22 Revolver, that is. Because I feel, let me readjust this a little bit there. You know, you got to have a 22 Revolver. Now, do I necessarily have to have a 22 single action only revolver? Not really. But I liked it because it was an easier way of trying to demonstrate to some people the differences. Because some just had a hard time grasping single action, double action when you're using one gun, to see the differences. Even though you've explained it over and over again, some people just have a hard time. Could be they're nervous, could be they're just not there that day, but so by having a single action only, it kind of let them see the differences. So, but I disabled that so that it will work, however it will not fire. The firing pin is off, so I don't have to worry about it. So I have the old Rossi that will work as a tool, a demo tool, so that they can see, feel, actually cock it, pull the trigger without any problems, and yet understand this single action. So that is made up like that, because even if I had tried to get it fixed or sent it back to fix it, I don't know if I'd trust it anymore. So sometimes it's easier just to say screw it. So that's what I did. But I found myself in need of looking for another 22. I was looking around a few of the gun shops locally, and I wasn't very pleased with what they had and the prices that they were asking. You know, sometimes here in Connecticut, things tend to get a little out of hand price-wise. You know, it's whatever the price will bear, not so much what the manufacturers suggested would be. And at one time, you know, manufacturers suggested was a very profitable price point to a dealer or such. But now, apparently, sometimes it's not. So I have found a few, but I just wasn't about to pay more than what I feel the gun was worth. So I decided to shop around a little bit. Now, living here in Connecticut, we have Charter Arms. Now, I don't know if any of you guys out there are familiar with Charter Arms and how many are or aren't. It's a pretty good weapon. You know, I'm not, when I say pretty good, I don't mean it's a piece of shit. But I don't think it's as popular naturally as, you know, Smith & Wesson, Colt, you know, with Taurus, whatever else is out there. But it is a pretty decent piece. So I called them up because they're only about 20 minutes from my house once I get on the highway. So you know, I called them up, and they have a instructor's discount. So they give instructors a very, very nice discount, actually. So there's a store up in Shelton, and Charter Arms is in Shelton as well. There's a store in Shelton, so I figured, well, you know, I've used them a couple of times. I had bought, I think, 2 guns from them within the last 4 years or so. I don't visit them as much as others because they are 20-25 minutes out of the way. So sometimes, you know, I just fail to get out there for no reason. But because they're only a few blocks from Charter Arms, I called them up to find out about doing the transfer, because I would need an FFL to transfer the gun from Charter to me. So he agreed that he would do the transfer at a reasonable price. Now, some places around here are charging $75 to do a transfer. Oh, which is crazy. But there are a few that, you know, charge $25 and $30, and those are the ones I normally use because I feel that's fair. You know, it's taking them a few minutes of their time and to store the paperwork for whatever time, so that's a fair price. 75 is a little much. Now I understand a lot of stores want to charge that because they're trying to detour you from shopping on the internet. So I can understand that. So, they want to make as much or whatever profit may have been made on that gun as possible. So anyway, I went to Charter Arms. Let me stop with the bullshit and get into Charter Arms. I wasted your time for 5 minutes and I'm sorry. I went to Charter Arms and I picked up, here, now my hands are messy, they're full of paint. I was just painting a birdhouse. This is a 22. It's a 6-round, 6-shooter. It's single and double action. It's a stainless steel, however, it's the matte finish. It's not a, buffed out, shiny, sparkly looking gun. And that's, I guess, one of the reasons why they keep their price down as well. They make revolvers only. They make 22s, 38s, 357s, 9mm, 44s, and I think that's about it. And again, revolvers only. They make them in just about any color that you want. And their color isn't really like a paint. It's more like a enhanced stain, almost like a solid stain. So it kind of complements the gun when they do it, especially with the matte finish. So, but now, as far as the gun goes, there's nothing wrong with them. I fired a few of their 38s. I fired one of their new ones, actually, and I fired another 38 that had a few thousand rounds on it. The one with a few thousand rounds on it, believe it or not, seemed to have been a lot smoother than the newer ones. When you work the action on them, you can't hear it too much on this one because I've already oiled the bejesus out of this. I mean, I've done everything except dump a quart of oil on it. So I poured oil in every crevice, nook and cranny, and I had done this, what I'm doing here, for 3-4 minutes. And believe it or not, it started smoothing out because they're a little harsh. It's not going to interfere with the gun firing or working because they do work. Just that they're just a little, I don't know, gritty maybe sounding, so it takes a little bit to get used to it first. But they're a good gun. Would I carry their 38 revolver? Yeah, I would. I wouldn't have it as my everyday go-to, because I'm a heavy user and I use my go-to gun quite a bit when I'm at the range. So if you're going to use it as an everyday carry or your go-to gun and you're a person that uses your firearm, maybe 50 rounds a week or 200 or 300 rounds a month, I think it would be a fine gun for you. There's not much that's going to go wrong with it. I don't think, and it's just, my thought on this, I don't think it's going to be good for a heavy user, meaning 300-400 rounds a week, or 500 or 600 rounds a month. I don't know how long it would actually last under those conditions. But again, to have it on your nightstand, next to the bed or an everyday carry, and you just practice with it occasionally to try to keep up with it, and you clean it regularly, I think you got a nice little gun. And they're reasonable. You can buy their 38 or 357 for under 500. I think they're around 449, 469, somewhere right around there. And I've actually seen them going out a little cheaper than that. I've seen them as low as 429. So they are a good gun for the money. And it's a Connecticut-based company. It's United States. The owners, and when you call up and you talk to one of, like Ashley, for instance, she's the daughter of the owner. So they're working parts of the family that are there. They're not just, up in the office, pointing. When I told her what I needed, she got off her butt and she went down into the warehouse and she started looking, you know, and she found it. So this is the way they are. So just for that reason, it kind of says, you know what, at least they respect their customers. So that's what I kind of like. So I bought this to use for training. Now this is their 22, their Target Pathfinder. I am going to order their 22 Magnum right after the holidays, and I may even order their 38. And again, you can never have enough guns. Well, I guess you can. When it gets to a point to where it gets to be a nuisance to have to kind of go through them, because I use all my guns. So, if I find it sits there for too long and I'm not using it, well, then I may have too many guns. So at that point, there is a point where you may have too many. But in this case, never enough guns. So I'll do a report on this, a video, once I've popped a few hundred rounds through it, which will be the next class. I think I have a class coming up the 14th of January. At that point, today's Wednesday, by the way, the day before Christmas. I didn't need it today. But she says, well, yesterday I was talking to her. She says, well, if I got it, she says, there's no sense waiting. She says, let's get it done, get it over with, and you're done. It's your way. If something comes up sooner, you have it, which made sense. So I went up there today and picked it up. So, but also, a good thing that I did, because I'm going to try to keep this in one video, but it's not going to happen. So I'm going to cut this one short. I'm done talking about this until I use it and put some rounds through it. But so far, Charter Arms, built in Shelton, Connecticut, and Valley Firearms did the transfer. Valley Firearms, by the way, does a lot of internet sales. They have a lot of internet auctions, and they deal, throughout the U.S. So Valley Firearms. It's a little shop, but they're big on the internet. However, I'm glad I went there because this came into play. So I'm going to shut it off now and turn it back on.